Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame, because right now Bitcoin has confirmed this bullish signal while also being inside this massive level of support, sitting from 62.4k all the way down to 60,000 US dollars. So this bullish signal is actually a bullish divergence, and usually what you'll see is that we either get some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bullish momentum in the short term. However, there are also some warning signals in the charts that you should be paying attention to. So that is exactly what I'm going to cover in this video today. Now, first of all, we should talk about this bullish divergence, because in the case that we see, for example, the RSI here start to trade below the trend line, in that case, the bullish divergence is invalidated, and that actually completely opens the door to more bearish price action once again. So make sure you are watching that RSI on the 4-hour time frame to see if this trend line is going to hold. Now, besides that, in terms of resistance to the upside, we have this big level of resistance right here from 65,000 all the way up to 66,000 US dollars. However, there are also some other short-term levels of resistance that you should be paying attention to that are in between the current price and that big level of resistance up here. So let's go take a look at those right now. So here you can see what I'm talking about. We just got a perfect bounce from the 0.382 level sitting at 60.4k. And in terms of resistance to the upside right now, we have this Fibonacci level, the 0.5 level, sitting at 62.6k. So make sure to pay attention to what happens to the price action around this level here, because for example, you can see a rejection down from this level, but in the case that we actually break above, then likely we are going to see more bullish momentum after that. For example, up to this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between the 0.618 and the 0.65 level from 64.8k all the way up to 65.5k. So again, make sure to pay attention to these levels if you see the 0.5 level break first, of course. However, even though I am talking about resistance levels to the upside and I just confirmed that bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, you should really keep in mind that also on this 4-hour time frame, we are in a clear downtrend. So if you are now opening up a long position, you are longing against the trend, which is typically a dangerous thing to do. Basically, you are taking on more risk by longing against the trend, because as far as I'm concerned, so long as we don't break out above this descending line of resistance, we are still technically just in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. So until we actually break this trend line, my base case is that we are going to continue to go lower here until we actually break this trend line at some point. So that is also why it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames, because I can be bearish on one time frame and bullish on another time frame. On this higher time frame, I still think we are basically just consolidating in this range here. And so long as Bitcoin keeps ranging inside this pattern, I think Bitcoin is just consolidating and the bull run is still on. However, if we get a confirmed break like below this channel here, yes, then I think that would be a very serious warning signal. Although for now, Bitcoin is just consolidating. Now moving on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 1 week time frame, because right here you can see that we still have some liquidity to the downside at about 60,000 US dollars. However, on this time frame at least, most of the liquidity is to the upside, with about $1 billion worth of liquidity sitting at about 70.3k. So potentially long term on the higher time frames, this could be a level that the Bitcoin price gets attracted to, because in the case that you are not familiar with this chart, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. And in this case, it is sitting at about 70.3k. However, as I was just saying, you need to understand the difference between the different time frames, because I am leaning more bearish on the 4-hour time frame, on the lower time frames. However, long term, I still think it is possible to take out that 70k level. One last thing with regards to all these bullish signals in the charts and like this big level of support being reached, for example, is that probably you saw the news a couple of days ago where, I don't want to mention any specifics, but in one of the wars that is going on right now, there was a major event that occurred and potentially the other party is going to respond. Now, if that is actually going to play out, like that will happen, then I do think the markets, especially in crypto, are going to respond negatively to that news. So that is another reason why I am especially cautious with longing right now, because that would be exactly the type of thing where you just open up your long position, the news somehow comes out and you see like a big move to the downside. So be careful, guys, as always, especially if you are using high leverage. Make sure you're just taking those short-term trades and not being too overexposed with all of that uncertainty in the world and in the markets right now. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we finally saw that big outflow from the Bitcoin ETFs. And I was basically just waiting for this at this point, because we first saw massive inflows, then we saw them slow down, like we flip a little bit more neutral. We saw a tiny, tiny outflow. But I was really waiting for this. Like, when are they actually going to flip bearish? Because I do think that if we see continuous selling pressure from these Bitcoin ETFs, it would have a negative effect on the Bitcoin price. So keep an eye on this, guys. And this is exactly why I am covering this every single day. This could potentially be the start of that new trend where we are seeing a lot of net outflows from these ETFs. So that is also another warning signal in the markets here. Now, lastly, before I sign off here, guys, I'm really trying to reach 4,000 subscribers. So if you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to turn notifications on so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.